Introduction. Rewrite your story. What if the story you've been telling yourself isn't the whole truth? Every one of us carries an internal narrative, a personal script about who we are, what we can do, and how life tends to go for us. It feels like reality. But most of the time, it's just a story. A powerful one, yes, but also one that can be rewritten. This isn't about ignoring the past, it's about reclaiming the pen. Because the truth is, you're not fixed, you're not finished, and you're not defined by the worst things that ever happened to you. You're the author now. And in this audio journey, you'll learn how to recognize the story playing in your head, challenge the beliefs that limit you, craft a new empowering narrative, one that supports your growth, and step into the next chapter of your life with clarity and courage. This isn't just personal development, it's narrative transformation. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The stories we live by. Take a moment. Think about how you describe yourself, even in your own mind. I'm shy. I always mess things up. I'm not a leader. I'm just not the kind of person who... These phrases seem like facts. But what if they're not? What if they're stories? Internal narratives you've rehearsed so many times, they feel like truth. Here's what most people never realize. You are not your story. You're the storyteller. Your life so far can be seen as a book, with some great chapters and maybe some tough ones. But the plot is still unfolding. You're still writing. In this chapter, we begin with one powerful idea. Your identity is not a fixed truth. It's a living narrative, and you can change it. Most of us absorb stories from childhood, from parents, teachers, culture. Maybe you were told you weren't good enough, or smart enough, or lovable. Over time, those messages solidify into inner scripts, and then you start living by them. If your inner story says you're always the underdog, you expect to lose. If your story says you're resilient, you bounce back. One story keeps you stuck. The other pulls you forward. Here's the key. That story in your head, it's not carved in stone. It's a script, and scripts can be rewritten. This is the work ahead. To uncover the narrative you've been living by, and decide if it still serves you, because the chapters of your life are still being written. And you, my friend, are the author now. Chapter 2. The Inner Narrator. You've probably heard the phrase inner voice, but have you ever thought of it as your inner narrator? All day long, your mind is telling stories, not just about the world, but about you. You spill your coffee. The narrator says, "Typical, you're so clumsy." You hesitate in a meeting. It chimes in. "See, you're not leadership material." You succeed at something new. "Well, you got lucky." This narrator, it sounds like you, but it's not always on your side, and unless you become aware of it, you might mistake its commentary for truth. Here's the important part. The narrator in your head was trained. It learned its tone, its attitude, its language, from years of repetition, from the way others spoke to you, and the way you learned to speak to yourself. But just like a real narrator in a documentary or a film, it can be recast. You can teach it a new tone. Instead of saying, "You're not good at this," it can learn to say, "You're just getting started." Instead of, "This always goes wrong," it can shift to, "This time, I'll try something different." You don't need to silence your inner voice. You need to coach it. Try this practice. For one full day, just observe your inner narrator. Don't change anything. Just listen. Pay attention to its language. Is it critical or kind? Is it supportive or sarcastic? Does it offer encouragement or judgment? Then ask yourself, Would I speak to a friend this way? Would I accept this tone from a coach or mentor? If not, then it's time to retrain the voice in your mind. Because your inner narrator is writing your story as you live it, and you deserve a narrator that sees your growth, not just your gaps. The stories we hear shape us, but the stories we tell ourselves, they define us. And today, you begin to shape that story on purpose. Chapter 3. The Stories That Hold Us Back. Some stories lift us up, others quietly hold us down. But here's the thing, we often don't even know we're telling them. They hide in plain sight, disguised as facts, habits, or just the way I am. Let's pull back the curtain. Imagine someone who always says, "I'm terrible with money." That's not just a comment, that's a story. A self-narrative, repeated often enough to feel like identity. So what happens? They avoid budgeting, they spend impulsively, they don't ask for financial advice, not because they can't learn, but because their story tells them not to bother. Here's another. I always mess up relationships. Now they enter new ones guarded. They expect conflict. They interpret silence as rejection. The story becomes a lens, and that lens colors everything. It's not the events themselves that limit us. It's the meaning we assign to them, the story we wrap around the facts. So how do we spot these hidden stories? Listen to your own language, especially the absolutes. I never, this is just who I am. Behind those phrases is often a belief, and behind the belief, a story. For example, I always procrastinate. Maybe the real story is, I'm afraid I'll fail if I try. I never speak up. Maybe the story is, my voice doesn't matter. I'm just not a confident person. Maybe it's, confidence isn't safe in my world. Once you hear the story, you can challenge it. Try this. Write down one limiting belief you catch yourself saying. Then ask 3 questions. Is this story true or just familiar? Where did I learn it? What would happen if I told a different one? That last one is powerful, because if you can tell a story that holds you back, you can also tell one that moves you forward. These inner stories, they're not set in stone. They're more like scripts, and you're both the actor and the editor. Chapter by chapter, you get to revise. And that revision, that's where freedom begins. Chapter 4. Rewriting the script. If your old story has been holding you back, this is where things shift. Because the most powerful truth is this. You don't have to keep living by a script you didn't write. Let's talk about how to rewrite it, clearly, intentionally, and in your own voice. Step 1. Name the old script. You can't change a story you haven't seen. Ask yourself, what story do I keep repeating? What identity have I accepted that no longer fits? What belief keeps whispering that I can't change? Write it down in a single sentence. I'm not creative. I can't be loved unless I earn it. People always leave. I never follow through. Make it specific. Make it visible. Because when you name the story, you take away its power to hide. Step 2. Dissect the evidence. Where did the story come from? A parent? A teacher? A moment of failure? Maybe you were told, you're not smart enough. Or someone left, and your brain turned it into, I'm not worth staying for. But let's be clear, a single moment doesn't define your worth. An old opinion isn't a life sentence. So ask, is this story true or just old? Is it mine or was it handed to me? Most truths we live by were never chosen. They were absorbed. Step 3. Draft the new story. This is not about pretending. It's about deciding. Decide what version of you you're becoming. Start with, I'm learning to, I am becoming the kind of person who I used to believe Zagre, but now I choose Sa. Examples. I'm learning to trust myself, even when it's uncomfortable. I am becoming someone who speaks up. I used to hide my voice. Now I'm learning to use it. Keep it honest. Keep it forward-facing. Step 4. Practice the new story. Because a rewritten script isn't just an idea. It needs rehearsal. This is where affirmations, mirror work, and small daily actions come in. Every time you act from the new script, even a little, you reinforce it. And yes, at first it might feel fake. But so did your old story, until it didn't. Repetition is what gave that one power. Now repetition is how you take it back. This is the work of becoming, not faking, not forcing, but choosing your narrative with clarity and intention. Because when you rewrite your story, you change how you show up in the world, and more importantly, you change how you show up for yourself. Chapter 5. Evidence collection. You've rewritten the script. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. Because identity doesn't change with words alone. It changes through lived experience, through evidence. The old story had years of emotional proof behind it. Moments that reinforced, I'm not enough, or I always mess up. So now, your job is simple and powerful. Start collecting new evidence. Evidence that supports the story you want to live by. This doesn't mean you wait to feel ready. It means you act anyway and let readiness catch up. You don't have to become a bold, confident person overnight. You just need to gather one small moment of courage today. Say the thing. Show up for yourself. Finish the task you usually avoid. Each one becomes a data point for your new identity. Think of yourself as a scientist of self. You're testing a new theory. I am capable. I do follow through. I am safe being seen. The more real-world proof you find, the more that identity takes root. This is how beliefs harden, not from affirmations alone, but from actions that prove them true. Track the wins, even tiny ones. Create a wins journal, or a running note on your phone. Every time you act in alignment with your new story, capture it. Spoke up in the meeting. Didn't spiral after a mistake. Chose rest without guilt. These may seem small, but small is powerful when repeated. Be aware of confirmation bias. Your brain is always scanning for evidence. If you're not intentional, it will default to the old narrative. See, I messed up again. I'm awkward. I knew it. But now, you flip that script. You look for proof that you are changing, and you name it when you see it. I handled that better than I used to. Old me would have quit. This time I kept going. Make it visible. Put reminders of the new identity around you. A sticky note that says, I show up. A bracelet that means, I choose growth. A photo that connects you to your strength. Surround yourself with cues that say, this is who I am now. This is the story I'm living. Final word. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. But you do need to gather evidence for yourself. Because when your mind sees the receipts, the shift becomes real. And soon, the new story won't just be a hope. It will be your default. Chapter 6. Living the new narrative. You've rewritten the script. You've started collecting evidence. Now it's time to live the story. Not just write about it, not just talk about it, but embody it. This is where change becomes real, where your new identity shows up in your routines, your decisions, your tone, your posture, your life. Not once, but daily, quietly, consistently. The key here isn't perfection, it's alignment. Are your actions aligned with the story you say you believe? If your story is, I respect myself, but you always break promises to yourself, the narrative won't land. If your story is, I'm courageous, but you avoid every risk, your brain won't believe it. Living the story means walking it out, even imperfectly. So how do you live the new narrative? Start with your choices. Each decision is a vote. Do I choose the old identity or the new one? Do I stay silent or speak up? Do I hide or show up? It doesn't have to be dramatic. You're not trying to prove anything to the world, but you will know, and that's what matters. Next, look at your habits. What routines reinforce the old story? What habits could support the new one? Maybe the old story was, I have no discipline. So now you start by keeping a short daily promise to yourself. Something doable, repeatable, trackable. Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes, or finishing what you start, or simply sitting with discomfort instead of numbing out. These micro habits matter. They speak to your subconscious louder than any affirmation. Also, pay attention to your environment. Are you surrounded by people who reflect your new story, or people who pull you back into your old one? This doesn't mean cutting people out cold, but it does mean being intentional. You are becoming someone new. Let your circle reflect and support that, and when possible, put yourself in rooms where your new identity feels normal, not aspirational. Finally, practice patience. Living a new story isn't glamorous. It's not about grand declarations. It's about the quiet, stubborn work of showing up, again and again, as the person you're becoming. You'll mess up. You'll forget. You'll default back. That's okay. Every time you remember and realign, you strengthen the path. Over time, it becomes second nature. Not because the old story disappeared, but because the new one got louder. You are no longer just the narrator. You are the character. And the story is unfolding through your actions, your choices, your voice. Live it. Chapter 7. When the old story fights back. You've done the work. You've written a new story. You've started to live it. But here's the part most people aren't prepared for. The old story doesn't go quietly. It shows up in whispers, in habits, in moments of stress. You think you've moved on, and then you catch yourself saying something like, I'll never get this right, or they were probably just being nice, or who am I kidding? Sound familiar? That's not failure, that's resistance, and it's normal. Think of your old story like a well-worn path in the woods. You walked it for years. It's clear, familiar, automatic. The new path? Still fresh. Still forming. It takes effort to stay on it. When you're tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed, your brain defaults to the old route. That's not weakness. It's wiring. So what do you do when the old story resurfaces? First, notice it, without shame. Catch the thought. Call it what it is. That's my old script talking. Labeling it reduces its power. It creates space between the thought and your identity. Second, respond from the new story. Not with denial, but with clarity. Let's say your old story was, I never follow through. You catch yourself thinking it again. Pause. Then say, that's the old story, but I'm becoming someone who honors small commitments. And today, I showed up. That counts. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be intentional. Third, build in reminders. Don't rely on memory alone. Leave cues where you need them most. A sticky note, a home screen quote, a voice memo from your better self. Create a system that supports your story when your energy is low, because that's when the old story slips back in. When you're vulnerable, not when you're strong. And that's when you need backup. Lastly, forgive the slips. Don't turn a setback into self-attack. A moment of doubt doesn't erase your growth. A bad day doesn't mean you've gone backwards. It means you're human. The old story will visit, but you don't have to offer it a bed. Notice it. Name it. Then keep walking. This chapter is about resilience. It's about recognizing that the journey of rewriting your story isn't a straight line. But every time you catch the old narrative and choose the new one, even once, you're building something stronger. And eventually, the new story won't just be what you believe. It'll be what you are. Chapter 8. Your story and the world. You've been working on your inner story. The way you see yourself, the beliefs you carry, the identity you live from. But here's something powerful to realize. Your story doesn't stay inside you. It leaks into the world. It affects how you show up. In your relationships, your work, your posture, your voice, your choices. Your internal script becomes your external signal. When you believe, I'm not good enough, you shrink, hesitate, over-apologize. When you believe, I bring value, you speak, stand, and move with quiet confidence. People respond to you, not just based on what you do, but based on the energy your story gives off. So changing your story, it changes your reality. And it doesn't stop with you. Your story impacts everyone you touch. A parent with a new story changes the emotional climate of their home. A teacher with a renewed belief in their own growth passes it on to students. A friend who finally sees their worth invites others to do the same. Healing your story heals your influence. And here's something you might not expect. The more authentically you live your new story, the more people notice. And some will push back. Why? Because your change forces a mirror. If someone still lives in an old script, watching you rewrite yours can make them uncomfortable. They might tease, they might question, they might try to pull you back to the you they remember. Not because they're bad, but because they're scared their own story might be up for revision too. Don't let their discomfort derail your transformation. Instead, stay steady, stay kind. Let your example speak. You don't have to argue, just live your truth consistently. Eventually, some of the same people who resisted your change will come asking how you did it. And when they do, tell them what you've learned. That stories aren't fixed. That old beliefs can be challenged. That identity can be rewritten with clarity, patience, and practice. Because your story doesn't just shape your world, it gives others permission to reshape theirs. So, live it boldly, not perfectly, not loudly, but honestly. Because when you own your new story, when you speak and move and lead from it, you become a living invitation to others. An invitation to heal, to rise, to rewrite. Chapter 9. Living the New Narrative. By now, you've rewritten a lot. You've questioned old stories. You've practiced new ones. You've started acting from a different script. One that reflects who you really are and who you're becoming. So what now? Now comes the real work. Living the new narrative. Not once, but over and over until it becomes you. Living your new story doesn't mean you feel it 100% every day. It means you choose it anyway. You don't wait for confidence to arrive before acting brave. You act, and let confidence grow in the doing. You don't wait to feel worthy before setting a boundary. You set it, and remind yourself you're worth protecting. The new narrative is not about feeling ready. It's about acting aligned. Some days, the old story will whisper, "Who do you think you are? You're slipping back. This won't last." Don't panic. That voice is a habit, not a prophecy. And you have a new habit now, noticing the lie and choosing differently. Even if the thought comes back 50 times in a day, you get 50 chances to practice your new truth. Think of it like a muscle. At first, it's shaky. You're sore. It's uncomfortable. But with repetition, the reps add up. Your form improves. The story stops being something you recite and starts being how you move. And remember, living your new narrative isn't just about big moments. It's about the small ones, the dailies, showing up when you want to hide, speaking gently to yourself after a mistake, reaching out when your old story says, "Don't bother, no one cares," saying no when you used to say yes just to be liked. Those are the real victories. Those are the rewrites that matter. And if you stumble, that's part of the story too. Growth isn't clean. It's not linear. It's messy and human and real. So instead of, "I failed again," say, "This is a chapter, not the whole book." Instead of, "I thought I was past this," say, "I'm practicing, and practice is working." Because the point isn't to become perfect. The point is to become honest, to stop performing someone else's narrative and live yours. Imperfect, evolving, alive. So as you move forward, ask yourself daily, what version of me am I rehearsing today? Am I acting from fear or from the future I want to live into? Am I reinforcing the old story or practicing the new one? You don't have to be flawless. You just have to be faithful to the story you've chosen. Because the only way a story becomes true is by being lived. Thank you for walking this journey, not just through this audiobook, but through your own inner world. If this work has helped you reshape your story, consider sharing it with someone else who's still stuck in theirs. And if you want more tools, more affirmations, and more support, subscribe to Be Believe Become TV, where the next chapter of your story is already waiting for you. Your life is the narrative. Make it one worth telling. Chapter 10. Your story isn't finished. You've done something most people never do. You've stepped back. You've looked at your life with clarity. You've questioned the script, and you've begun rewriting it, line by line, belief by belief. Now you need to hear this. The story isn't over. Whatever happened before, whatever role you played, whatever pattern you repeated, it does not define the ending. You get to keep writing. There will be moments when the old voice creeps in, moments when you doubt the rewrite, moments when growth feels slow and change feels fake. That's not failure. That's friction, the kind that happens when a new self is being forged. So when that resistance comes up, tell yourself, this is the middle, not the end. I'm still learning. I'm still becoming. Every page you turn is progress, even the messy ones. Some chapters will feel like breakthroughs. Others will feel like circles. You'll have days where you feel fully transformed, and days where the old you pulls hard. That's okay. Transformation isn't about never slipping. It's about not staying stuck. It's about noticing faster, recovering sooner, and choosing again, every time. And you're not doing this alone. Every person who chooses to rewrite their story gives permission to someone else to do the same. You don't just change you change what's possible for others. Your new narrative isn't just a personal shift. It's a ripple. So when you feel tired or lost or tempted to settle, remember, this work matters. You matter. And your story, your real one, still has pages to be written. Your new story is already in motion. Now live it, speak it, keep showing up as the version of you you believe in, not perfectly, but truthfully, faithfully, and with the quiet power of someone who knows, this is not where I stop. This is where I turn the page. Final words and call to action. Thank you for listening to Rewrite Your Story, The Power of Self-Narratives. If this journey helped you see your own story more clearly, if it helped you start rewriting what you once thought was permanent, share this with someone else who needs a new beginning. And subscribe to Be Believe, Become TV for more empowering audio experiences that keep you growing forward. Your past is not your prison, your voice is not too late, and your story isn't finished.